and welcome to this edition of AWTC Presents HERstory, a series where we profile our AWTC members. I'm your host, Cecilia Sepp. I'm an AWTC member myself and also serving on the marketing committee. And I'm pleased to welcome Vinnu Deshetty to this episode of HERstory. Welcome, Vinnu. Would you like to tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Cecilia. So I'm Vinnu Deshetty. I have just started the Event ROI Coach. This is something where I go into working with organizations to really help them with their event tech stack, making the most out of their data, just so that they can build better events, more engaging experiences for their members. Been doing events for but almost 30 years now, and just love to see what the experiences that they come up with and really the impact that they make.
Oh, well, that sounds exciting. Congratulations on the new business.
Thank you.
So, my next question then is you've been working with associations for many years. How did you get started working with associations?
Well, my very first experience was actually as a child. My parents immigrated from India in the 1970s, and they immigrated to Kentucky, a small town in Kentucky. And they really believed in giving back to the community and giving just service in general. And so my father had joined the Kiwanis. And, you know, at the time, I didn't think of it as an association, but now that I reflect back, that really was my first experience. He would take me sometimes to their meetings. I'm sure those men probably at times were like, what is this child doing here? But to see them do the work and the way they talked about community and they talked about service just made such an impact, because I saw them actually give back to a community that sometimes really struggled. It was a coal mining agricultural community, and sometimes they struggled, but everyone literally got together as a village and just supported one another. And that really made an impression on me as a kid, that this is something that was important for me and I wanted to do when I grew up. Little did I know that this could actually be a job. You can actually make a living off of this, to be able to give back and be able to be able to have a profession out of it.
Yeah, oh, that's really inspiring. I think a lot of us who work with associations had that kind of childhood experience, and I love hearing that because that's really the definition of what associations are,
Yeah.
what you just described. So you've had a long career so far, and can you tell us about a time that you felt really good about your work?
When I had my meetings agency, I worked mostly with a lot of associations doing their conferences, workshops, any type of meeting or event that they did. And honestly, I can't pinpoint one because they all did such great work. Because I got to see not only the logistics and the staff, the amount of time and energy the staff put into the work, but I saw the impact that they were having. So whether it was a social justice cause or helping a new generation upskill and develop their career, or just building community around an industry that may be suffering and needed support from one another. So just seeing those things happen through the event lens was really impactful and
Oh,
made me
yes.
keep wanting to do more. I was just a little piece of the pie, and it just made me feel good to be part of that.
Oh, that's a great example of how bringing people together really has that impact. Because that's why we associate, so we can get
Exactly.
together with each other. So you're a woman in tech. You help people build tech stacks, which is one of my favorite phrases ever since I learned it. Tech stack. I love that. So, what advice helped you on your personal journey as a woman in tech?
It's really interesting. So I'm an accidental techie, actually. I started off in meetings, and when I had my agency, we started getting requests to build custom registration sites. And this was in a day when, a form on a website was about all that you could get. There wasn't sophisticated methods. So in order to help our clients get to where they wanted to be with technology, we started getting into helping them figure that piece out, their tech stack out. And what was really interesting for me, not being a techie, was taking a step back to really understand what it is that they needed, what they wanted, kind of bridging that gap and just listening, right? And I think as a woman, I think we listen better. I'm very biased here, but I think having those skills to be able to listen, to be able to adapt, definitely helps in a techie kind of position, right? It is, my whole team, when it came to development, even when my last technology company that I have founded, all men. So it is a matter of, kind of also explaining to them that there's more than just the code to understand, that there was, especially with event technology, there is someone at that other end that's having that experience. And we really had to think about that. And I think that's a leverage we as women can definitely bring to the technology space.
Wow, I agree with you that women do have better listening skills and able to communicate a little easier than men because that's just the way it is. But also, I just love that phrase, accidental techie. I love that. Did you create that?
I don't know if I created, but I definitely felt like it was a snowball effect. I asked the question of what reg technology did you use? And I got an earful and just kind of literally rolled with it. And it became such that I started getting into virtual events, the virtual event technology, Salesforce technology, and even a lot more. And what I'm finding myself now is that since I do have that meetings experience, and I have enough knowledge to be dangerous on the technology side, that I tend to be a really good bridge between the meetings world, the really creative people who are about, experiences, design, and beauty, and translating how does that work with technology and vice versa, right? And I realized I don't need to be a coder to do that, but I need to be able to explain what is needed to a developer or to the technical team, and be able to work back and forth. So I feel like I do live kind of in the middle of two worlds.
Oh, that's a great explanation, actually,
Oh,
of how people interact with our developers and coders. And since you are in that space where you're that bridge between users and coders and developers, where do you see technology leading associations in the future?
oh, to the sky, Alice. It's going to be to the moon, right? He said to the moon. It is. I think there's so much that is out there that still needs to be embraced, but is also ever evolving.
Mhm.
What I do find the biggest challenge, especially for associations, especially on the smaller side, right, is having the capacity, whether it's person power, whether it's funding, whether it's time, to embrace it all, right? And I'm actually one that says you actually don't need to take in the latest and greatest. Create that strong foundation first, get a
Mhm.
hold of what you got, fix your processes, get your people in the right place, upskill them if you need to. Do all of that before you grow. I Now that I'm doing the event tech audits, I'm hearing a lot of that. They want the, shiny bells and whistles. And I'm like, well, why don't we fix what you got first? And then we can figure out how to modernize you a little bit more.
Oh, that's great advice and a great approach. I myself, for my own company, do an annual tech audit and see what we're using and what we can get rid of and how they're working together. So that's always great advice. And I love that it's to the moon, Alice. Yes, that's where associations could go. And maybe that's where you can lead them with their event stack, tech stack. That's great. So I want to talk a little bit as we wrap up our episode about AWTC. So what do you like best about AWTC?
I gotta tell you, it's the people. And I really felt it this last few months. When I was transitioning from my tech, I exited out of a tech company and trying to figure out what the next steps are for me. And when I made the announcement that and made it more public that I had left and just trying to figure out what's next, the number of people from AWTC who reached out and said, how can I help you? Was amazing. My heart is just overflowing with warmth, right? It is just The caring of it, right? It's not just about the handshake, smiles, and hugs when you see in person, but the ability for people to reach over and say, "How can I help you?" That to me meant so much. As someone that likes to give, sometimes it's hard to get, to receive, I should say, hard to receive, but it has just been an amazing, just from either a personal level of how are you doing today to what can I help you in your next step. It's just been an amazing experience.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, it is a very supportive community, filled with excited people wanting to do a lot of good things. So my last question for you, Vinu, is this. Why should someone join AWTC? And then why should they get involved after they join?
I've gone recently through this whole new kind of revelation. I've been a workhorse all my life. I've always worked, 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 worked. And I got to a point of thinking about this concept of work-life balance. And really, there's not one, right? But it is what we make out of it. And I've been really trying to realign where my priorities are. And AWTC has been part of that. It has been not only a community that helps me professionally, but also I've gained a lot of great friendships through it too. So, I that balance of life and work, it's not always about family, right? The family is great. Don't get me wrong, family is great and is needed, but so is outside of that, right? And at any AWTC event, whether it's virtual or in person, I've always felt like there was this personal connection outside of work. It's not always about, oh, what skills do I need? What job am I looking for? But it is about the person. It is about those relationships. And I have not seen anything like this before. I think it is amazing, just the connections that are made.
So, and when it comes to getting involved in AWTC, there's a lot of different options. Is there one you would recommend for a newer member of AWTC?
Just dive in. Come to an event, see what you like. There's something for everyone, whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, you have a lot of time to volunteer or not a lot of time to volunteer. What I've loved is I've been able to help in different ways. And I hope it's no like I tell the committee, tap me in when you need to, right? Like I'm in there for whatever you need. So I think whatever you're looking for, however you want to be fulfilled through a volunteer experience, you can find it at AWTC.
Oh, that's a great endorsement. I want to thank you, Vanu, for joining me for this episode of Her Story and sharing your story. And I want to wish you all success with the new business.
Thank you, Cecilia. Thank you for having me.
Well, as we wrap up this episode, we'd like to encourage you to check out our website at AWTC, which is awtc.tech. You can find information about all the virtual and in-person events that AWTC offers. You don't need to be a member to come to our events, and membership is no fee. So if you want to join our community and get on our mailing list, contact list, or maybe be a HERstory profile, you can fill out that form and sign up to get all of our messaging and newsletter. Our newsletter, AWTC Champion, is excellent and always full of good information and stories about our members. And check out our awards program and looking forward to our AWTC Advanced program, which happens in December usually. So watch for information about that. Thanks for watching this episode of Her Story. And on behalf of Vinu and myself, we'll see you next time.